Sports now, and as he joins us almost every Friday at 1 to talk NASCAR, it's the right rev of speed, or as I like to call him, the right rev of rev, because I'm Marky Billson, I like to do things differently. He's Jerry Bonkowski. He likes to do things differently in that he will report on NASCAR in a very unique way that nobody can top. You'll read him on NBCSports.com, you'll hear him on Sirius, and you'll hear him on this program as well. Jerry, always a pleasure to talk to you. And Watkins Glen comes up, and I guess we spoke a little bit, I think it was off the air on Monday, the natural progression of Pocono to Watkins Glen for the drivers and all that. I mean, you know, when I'm watching the race, what was it, the Gander RV 400 or whatever, and there was seeming of a setting similar to, though not exactly like, a road course at Pocono. I gotta think this makes it a lot easier for the drivers to have a transition. Tell us a little bit about that. What this road course? What is it like going from Pocono to Watkins Glen for a driver?
Well, the one thing about Watkins Glen, though, is it's so unique. I mean, it's unlike any road. Well, we only have two road courses on the Cup circuit, and we've got three road courses on the Xfinity circuit. But it's unique in the sense that teams pit, and they have to pit. They bring their cars in not on against the left side wall. They're pitting on the right side of the wall. That's what makes it really neat. Your pit strategy is different. Now, you would think that teams, servicing a car either side doesn't make a difference. It really does. I've been in Watkins Glen, and I've seen teams that get discombobulated sometimes. So, but that being said, Watkins Glen is a great venue to watch a race. I mean, people come out with their picnic baskets, their lawn chairs, their blankets. They sit on the grass. They really have a good time. It's really kind of like a party place, and where it's located up in upstate New York. It's near Syracuse, it's near Buffalo, it's near Albany. A lot of fans come down from Canada, so it really has a lot of things for everybody. And I always enjoyed the time I was there. I think I've been there 3 times, if I remember right, and just a great venue to watch a race.
Well, we're talking to Jerry Bonkowski of NBCSports.com. You mentioned that, and, I remember back in the 90s when NASCAR was taking off, and Bristol's reputation was right at the peak of that popularity. And I would hear a lot of locals around here, and they'd say, it's so boring to watch a road race and such. I always thought it was a pleasant diversion, from the track and such. I know the idea, road courses are for overseas, tracks are for American racing. I mean, we've heard that a lot. But am I blind well, that's not the word to use. Am I correct in that I see the stock of Watkins Glen rising, that there is more now popularity in road courses among NASCAR fans? Do you sense that than there might have been, say, a generation ago?
Well, I'll do this. I'll go back in time with you. We go back maybe 15 years or so, to like 2004, 2005. There were a lot of fans that were basically calling for road courses to be off the schedule. There had been a lot of talk about eliminating either Watkins Glen or Sonoma. Now, Watkins Glen is a Speedway Motorsports Incorporated property. They put a lot of capital improvements into the track and really made it a showcase. But back then there was just almost like a constant diatribe that fans wanted to get the road courses off the schedule, or at least just only have one, and that was usually Sonoma. That was the one people talk about. And now we are 15 years later, and you see the almost the underlying element is people not only enjoy road course racing, they're even talking about having more. I mean, we added the Roval last year at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Sure.
So we actually have 3 road courses on the Cup circuit, and then like I said, the Xfinity Series has 3 of their next 4 races, including this weekend, are on road courses as well too. So it really road course racing has certainly latched on in terms of popularity. I mean, back in the day, 15 years or so ago, there were so many drivers that just were not very good road course racers. I mean, I remember specifically Kevin Harvick comes to mind. He had all kinds of trouble, on a road course the first few times he was on it, and it was very difficult for him to make that transition. But now he's one of the best road course racers out there. It's just a matter of, you do it long enough, you get better at it. So I think that where we have the road courses on the Cup side, I wouldn't be surprised, when we're talking about a lot of changes in NASCAR come 2021, 2022, I wouldn't be surprised if they had another road course. I would love to actually see a road course race in the Cup Series at Road America, not only just because it's so close to my house, but certainly I think that it's one of the premier road courses out there. It's a 4-mile road course. I think it's 14, 15 turns, whatever it is. So I think that we're going to see probably more road course racing going forward. And again, going back to what I was saying about the changing of the schedule in 21 or 22, there is some talk that the overall Cup schedule might actually be reduced from 36 races to maybe 34, 32. The numbers are variable out there. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if they do, my money is that the road course races are going to survive and they're going to thrive because the schedule does get cut back a little bit.
Why do you, you mentioned that, it is more popular now, but I'm going to just throw a theory out there. So many mile-and-a-half courses out there, or mile-and-a-half tracks, out there, that, we want something different. Bristol was always something different. It was a bull ring, and you could see the whole race. Road courses are different. And I don't know, I sense that, we now, in the sports culture, may be opening our arms a little bit more to things that aren't necessarily distinctly American. I start thinking about the popularity of soccer, let's just say, here the last few years or something like that. Could that be a reason why road courses, or do you have your own theory here, Jerry Bonkowski? I've shared mine. What is yours on why we are seeing this popularity of road courses?
Well, I think originally, Marky, again, we go back 15 years or so, there was so much negativeness about the road courses.
Yeah.
Because, as you said a few moments ago, it was primarily looked upon as an F1 element. With almost all the road races in the F1 are road courses, or street courses for that matter. Or, in IndyCar racing, certainly the big daddy is the Indianapolis 500, but they do 9 or their 17 races or road courses or something like that. I don't have the exact number right in front of me, but I think that NASCAR realized that motorsports fans in general really like that type of racing. It's unique, it's different, and if you're the best of the best in NASCAR, you should be tested on the best of the best tracks, and you should just be on an oval constantly, 36 races a year. You need to break it up. You have to have super speedway racing like Daytona and Talladega. You have to have short track racing like Bristol and Martinsville and Richmond. And you have to have road course racing like Watkins Glen, Sonoma, and obviously the Roval now, too. So I think we're in a very good sweet spot right now in terms of the schedule with NASCAR and the variety of tracks we go to. But like I said, I think we're going to see even greater variety going forward. And I would be surprised if we see maybe, and I'm not going to say which track, but I've got one in mind, may lose one of its races in place of having a road course race at another venue. I think that's a very likely possibility coming up in 21 or 22. And again, that's just my opinion, but from what I've heard and what I've read and what I know about the market, I think that could be a possibility.
I say, but you don't want to say what track it is.
No, I can't. It wouldn't be fair to the track, but you know as well as I do this business. There's lots of rumblings, lots of rumors, and it's trying to sort through the rumors to see what sticks and what doesn't stick. And right now, we are only 2019, and if there are going to be any changes, they probably won't be till 2021 or 2022. So it would be fair to say which tracks may lose a race. But I think that if you look at, and this is kind of a different example, but I think it illustrates the direction NASCAR may be going in the future. We just went to Pocono last week, and now we're going to be coming back next year, and instead of 2 different races 6 or 8 weeks apart, they're going to be on the same weekend. Never has happened in NASCAR before. We had back-to-back Cup races on the same weekend, back-to-back days. So I think that NASCAR is certainly open to making a lot of different changes for the better, I think. And I think that more road courses could potentially be on that day.
Well, we're talking to Jerry Bonkowski, NBCSports.com.
May lose a race. It's the nature of the beast.
I was just saying, we're talking Jerry, nature of the beast, losing a race like Darlington did, like, my goodness, North Wilkesboro did, and we hate that because they're kind of close to the Tri-Cities, But let's talk a little bit about...
Let me ask you this, and I'll put this to hypothetical out there. Again, my opinion is nothing based on substantiated fact or anything like that, but, if you you were a NASCAR fan, let's say from Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, or Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa, even coming up from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Oregon, even into Canada.
Okay.
You don't think that a race like in Road America, a road course race for the Cup Series, wouldn't draw, a huge crowd? I was at Road America, last month when they had the IndyCar race there, and it drew probably the best numbers they've had in 10 years. The fans were just wall to wall there, and it was like that the whole weekend. So I think that the Cup Series goes there. Cup Series already goes there for the Xfinity races, but I think that if they have a Cup race there, it's going to be a big, big thing.
I think that it would, for the reason that we always like to go and see something when it's first and new. If it's a new racetrack, if it's a new ballpark, if it's something different, it's something that hasn't happened. But let's check this out and all. If it's, I don't know, the XFL. It did incredible ratings its first week. No one watched the $1 Million game. We always, if for that reason alone, it would do well. The question is, would it, hold forth? But, something, you've got a point there, and let's face it, NASCAR is liking the big markets. You just found a way for them to have 2 races in Chicago instead of just one at a track that, and I know it's your home track, but it has been a criticized track. 1.5 Chicagoland. Gee, there's nothing unique here. Well, you just made a way for Chicago racing to be unique. So there you go. By the way, what do you hear about the plans for Nashville?
Right now, there is so much back and forth. Hang on a second.
Sure. He's getting a call right now on what is going to happen at Nashville.
What's going on? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
There's been so much back and forth and posturing, especially on the political end of things in Nashville. But there is definitely a marketplace there. There's no question about that. They're doing a lot of renovations of that racetrack and the area around it. They're actually building a soccer stadium right next door to the track. Will there be a Cup race there in the near future? I'd love to see it. I don't think you'll see it though for at least another 5 years. But it's certainly I think it's on the radar of NASCAR. Look at it this way: we're going to have the postseason banquet, the awards banquet, is going to be in Nashville this year. It's not going to be in Las Vegas. I don't know how many fans really know that or remember the news from back earlier in the year, but they're going to have the awards banquet in Nashville. That says a lot. That says that NASCAR is saying this is a very important market to us, and I think that track has to be expanded at least 50%. I think it seats about 15,000 right now. It has to be at least 30, 35,000. Even that might be a low number, but there certainly are a lot of racing fans out in that area. People that are in Nashville may not necessarily always be able to go to Bristol, or they want to have some place in their home, their home backyard they can call their own, that kind of thing too. So I think Nashville is on the radar. It's just a matter of when it goes from being on the radar to actually being reality.
We're talking to Jerry Bonkowski and winding this up. It used to be, I've talked to you about Boris Said, okay, and he had a very distinct look, and he would always run the road courses, tracks, he was known, road course specialist. Are there any drivers that we can like that in the Watkins Glen field for Sunday?
Not really. They've kind of done away with the ringers over the last couple of years. The one guy that stands out in my mind is, want to call him a ringer, but he's a now retired driver who's become an NBC analyst, is A.J. Allmendinger. He's racing in the Xfinity race tomorrow at Watkins Glen. In fact, they actually are having practice right now. And, he is somebody that, he loves, he loves road course racing. He's very good at it. I remember that race he had, the Cup race at Watkins Glen with Marcus Ambrose. That's probably one of the 5 best finishes I've ever seen in my career, and that race will always stick with me about how Allmendinger and Marcus Ambrose they just went at it. They made Watkins Glen look like Bristol, the way they were beating and banging, but it was on a road course, and I think the fans really enjoyed it. It had a lot of talking afterwards by fans, for not only days after, but weeks after, months after. Even today, that was, 6 years ago, I want to say, they're still talking about it, so I think that, looking at where Watkins Glen is right now, we don't see the ringers anymore in the Cup Series or the Xfinity Series. You also have Kyle Busch in the Xfinity race tomorrow. I believe this is his last Xfinity start of the year. I may be wrong on that, but right now I'm looking at the stats. They're in practice right now. He's at the top of the board of the speed chart right now. So they've got about 15 minutes or so left to go in this practice session. But it shows that, road course racing is important to a lot of people. Be current drivers, former drivers, they all want to be in the game. But for teams to go with ringers like a Boris said, like a Ron Fellows, or guys like that, I think that time is kind of coming past and gone by the wayside, because it's just so difficult to get cars together, get sponsors together for one race for a certain driver. I mean, and then the other thing too is, if you're a full-time team, how do you really justify to your sponsors, let alone your full-time driver, that hey, we're pulling you out of the ride to bring in a road course ringer? And so I think that I don't anticipate seeing ringers anytime soon coming back into the either Sonoma or the Watkins Glen or the Roble thing. But stranger things have happened.
Well, I will say that you want to talk about the appeal of road course. I remember last year at Watkins Glen, you want to talk about the banging, like I said, at Bristol. Well, it was that way on the road course, and it was, just perfect. For one thing, there's also something that, you talk about knocking somebody out of the way, but he doesn't go into the wall. He goes off the course. He goes into a bale of hay or something like that. It's like the Duke Boys and Roscoe or something. And the nice thing is that nobody gets hurt if you can get that. The only thing missing, Foggy Mountain Breakdown, in my opinion, okay? So I in that aspect, that is something that I do prefer about the road courses to the tracks right there. Now, the favorite from what I see of the betting line right now is Kyle Busch at 5-2. You mentioned earlier that Kevin Harvick didn't necessarily perform well early in his career. Well, he's at 5-1 right now. So tell me who you like in this race.
For whatever reason, and he's kind of been hit and miss in his road course starts, both the Xfinity and the Cup Series. I like Chase Elliott.
All right.
Think that if he's got a good car under him, he could really make some noise. You know as well as I do, I've been really riding the horse, if you will, of Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch this whole season. But this is one of those races where pretty much anybody can win on Sunday in the Cup race. But I think that you have to look at guys who have had success there on the road course. Kyle Busch is certainly one of them. Harvick is another one of them. And so, the where you go from that, I think you're going to see a logical winner, but you can see a surprise winner too as well.
Now, 16-1. That's not bad odds right there. And you see now, I think that there are some online services that you can place your bets on nowadays in Tennessee.
Right.
You see. So here we go. He is Jerry Bonkowski. He's the right rev of speed. We'll talk to him Monday at 1. And let's see what it goes on Sunday at Watkins Glen. I'm looking forward to it. Remember Josh Brown, bottom of the hour, talking Braves. I've got more baseball talk after this.